Welcome to Tailgate Talk. Ritter and Tasker in studio. Wags is out. We're joined this week by a special guest. Well, he was also the first ever in-studio guest we've ever had, and it's been now most repeated in-studio guest so far that we've had. Jon Reznack, one of the Clam Pros, and, you know, he's like, okay, what's up with this? We're talking fishing. Yeah, we're actually talking ice fishing on the show today because there's a lot of new products that were dropped. You know, we mentioned a couple weeks ago you were at the Clam Pro Day, so you want to hear a bit about that. And if you're going, why are we talking about ice fishing in September? Same reason we've been every year is to get you ahead of some of these products because, you know, allotments and things are usually limited for certain things, or certain things that are really hot are going to sell out and will be limited. So to give you a heads up on what those products are going to be so you aren't the person that's come January looking for this new hot bait and you can't find it because everyone has already been buying it when they, you know, all filled up at the stores November and December. You know, we want to give you a heads up on that. But we'll talk about a couple other things. We get the show rolling here this week. One that I wanted to bring up is something that actually took place last week. And I was absolutely mind blown at this. Being the angler that I am and following bass fishing like I am, there was something happening in the city of Sturgeon Bay that had me very concerned and wanting to take action in ways. And that was a city council member was trying to pass through an amendment into laws of Sturgeon Bay that would ban catch, weigh, and release fishing tournaments in any boat ramp in and around Sturgeon Bay. Well, you think to what Sturgeon Bay is, you've got the Sturgeon Bay Bass Open. There's, you know, at least one or two other really big bass tournaments. Just think back to the Sturgeon Bay Open. That's 200 anglers with a co-angler. So you're talking 400 people that go into the city and spend money in hotels, restaurants, gas stations, you know, all bait shops, all these things. The impact of taking that out of your community, I don't understand where a city councilman would want to put this through, you know, and the fact that Sturgeon Bay, to me, is the number one bass fishing tournament destination in the state of Wisconsin. Maybe you could say La Crosse, Mississippi River. It's back between one of those two. But is it a slippery slope to banning something in Sturgeon Bay, then suddenly other places could be like, oh, the same thing? Okay, that's one side of the story I've told that went about this. So there was a petition that went out on change.org. There was, I don't want to say it was 50-some thousand anglers that signed the entire thing. 50 anglers actually showed up to the board meeting last week. So I'll get to what happened with things as it comes down. But the plot thickens, okay? The person that was trying to push this through, and I did the research to look it up, I will say their name of who they are, Gary Nolt, who actually runs Gary's Guide Service in Sturgeon Bay, and also runs MLF-style tournaments in and around Sturgeon Bay. So if you're not familiar with Major League Fishing, their format's different than the catch five, drive them back to a weigh-in, weigh them, and then release them. It's catch immediately, weigh immediately, release. Similar to how, like me as a kayak angler, I'm catch, measure, and release right away. Those would still be allowed. It's just the catching and transporting to bring back to a boat ramp to weigh to then release that they're trying to outlaw. Is there a conflict of interest with this?
No, not at all. Of course there is.
Okay, this is where I'm mind blown of things. Well, it turns out, as I mentioned, the 50 anglers that showed up, everyone that signed the petition, they decided to table it until 2023.
So it's just postponed. It's kicked
postponed.
Down the road.
My point of bringing it up is this is something that we're going to have to revisit going forward, and I think a challenge that is going to be, you know, we talked a lot about it on the last two shows and everything we had with, you know, Kaz, who sits on and is chair of this, you know, Department of Natural Resources board of all of these weird political twists and angles and holes, and just like setting these policies and how like there's slippery slopes everywhere. And I love slippery slopes. I love going down the slippery slope. It's so, you know, you and Wags both, Tasker, were really getting into the conspiracy theory. You know, trying to make
love good conspiracy.
I love slippery slopes and going down them, but I just feel this one specifically could be a very slippery slope.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's tough. Again, the impact on the community, I just can't believe that someone that sits on a city council would want to impact their community that much unless, like I said, it's this weird interest of, I just don't want people coming here and fishing because I want the fishing to be better for me to increase clients from my guide service. It just feels too much like that for me.
Yeah, that is certainly a conflict of interest.
As an angler, Jon Reznack, who's fished up and around Sturgeon Bay, what are your thoughts on that?
Fish care, I think, over the last 10, 15 years has only gotten better. I mean, you take a look at the live well systems that are on the new boats and stuff. I mean, it's just amazing on what they can do. I like, Major League Fishing and everything. I like that, but I want to see the big ones. I like going to those weigh-ins when culling got passed in Wisconsin, the first thing I did is when the first Elite Series came up, I drove up to La Crosse and I watched them. I mean, it's just a cool event anytime that you got a live weigh-in. You know, it's kind of like sitting here, right? You know, chew the fat with your buddies after a weigh-in and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
I know that's why both Ike and Ellie and Polinick, when they went to MLF, they came back to Bassmaster because of that. Because, you know, especially Ike and Ellie said that's the biggest thing he missed. He missed intermingling with fans and seeing fans and taking part in that weigh-in. And I, as a person that follows bass fishing, that's also, I think, why I don't follow MLF, and I just can't get into it as much. But Bassmaster I do, because that is part of the fun of the weigh-in. As much as following Bass Track, you kind of know people are sandbagging on that. You don't know. They're not exact weights, and it's to have those shocking moments like we had at the final tournament this year in La Crosse, where you thought that Chris Johnson was easily going to win the tournament, and out of nowhere, in that final person weighing in, oh my gosh, by like 6 ounces, he didn't win. And Bass Track would have told you Chris Johnson had it.
Right.
That's where the weigh-in can be fun. It creates the drama. And
it's the exciting part. It's just like, it's hard to compare it to like any other sport out there, right? Yeah. You know, you can't compare it to like football or basketball. But at the end of the day, when you're done fishing and you got everything, weights don't lie. You know, who's the better fisherman? And the crazy thing is with fishing, it's a matter of ounces. You know, you win or lose by 6 ounces. You
matter
know,
of quarter of inches. You know, in my world. Which, personally, I don't check the leaderboard ever. In any tournaments I've done, I've not even looked at the leaderboard.
It's a mind
you
game.
don't even update your weights until like hours
That's too,
later.
When you fished your last tournament, I'm sitting here texting Tasker. I'm like, oh, he's on the board. He's on the board. We're watching.
It was like 9 hours into the tournament.
Right.
And we're like, oh, he finally caught something. Oh, sure enough, he had like 3 fish already.
I just get so into it. I just, you know, because it's catch, photo, take it, and then you enter it manually. I'm going to stay on the hot and keep trying to catch fish if I'm on them. And then when I have that lull or I'm moving from spot to spot, that's when I'll, you know, enter as I'm, you know, pedaling along and stuff. So yeah, next year I'll try and be better at like trying to do it more in the moment, so it's a little more accurate if there's, you know, going to be people following.
Well, you don't have to do that on our behalf. I mean, we'll get the story eventually.
But to make it interesting of that, like it's pretty lackluster a kayak fishing tournament going into, you know, the awards or whatever we would say it at the end if you already know where you're at. I don't want to because I don't want to see where anyone else is at. I want to see who did what. And so that's where I personally I don't look at it at all.
Yeah. And that's a huge mind game, though, because when you sit there, and I fished in one kayak tournament when I had my kayak.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, out of all the tournaments that I've ever fished in, that was the hardest tournament I've ever had in my whole entire life. First of all, I didn't have a pedal drive kayak, so I had to paddle my way all over the place, and boat position, regardless of what you fish out of, that's the biggest thing, right?
Boat control is number one in kayak fishing. It is not like in a big boat. Boat control is very difficult.
And especially without a pedal drive system in there, that's really tough because then, you know, you got to use your hands. What do you cast with then, you know? So it's a mind game. You know, you sit there and you look at the leaderboard and then you think to yourself and you put added stress. You're already in a stressful situation because you got to catch your fish, right? You don't fish just to go out there and have fun. You fish to win is what it comes down to, right? So when you're sitting there and you're looking at the leaderboard, you put that more unwanted stress on top of everything, and it's just a head game at that point.
The only unwanted stress that I had is, you know, when I'm looking at the clock and the minutes ticking away and I'm deciding I need to make the decision of what I'm doing. I'm swinging for the fence. Again, I'm in it to win it. But as the time starts ticking away, I feel less and less that gorilla just climbs on your back a little more and starts feeling a little heavier, and your boat starts feeling a little heavier. And that's where but you know, it was fun last year to fish the couple that I did dabbling in that I could swing for the fences in all of them. Yeah. Like I absolutely took risks, took gambles. I fished in ways that I won't going forward, you know, because when you're fishing for points and you're in a full series, it's a little different. Yep. But when you're just out there in it to win it and play,
you're going for the home run.
Exactly, I'm swinging for the fence,
play.
and you're going to strike out way more than you're going to hit the home run when you play that way. I mean, I knew that. So
but that's tournament fishing though in general.
Right,
though.
you're always going to lose way more than you win.
Right, exactly, and that's, you know, like this past year fishing that big bass tournament with my dad on Okachi. You know, we're getting to the last weigh-in session because it was one fish per weigh-in session.
Yeah, this was the Wisconsin Hero Outdoors.
Yeah. And so we're sitting there and it's like noon and we've caught like 3 fish. Most of them, all of them were short. And next thing you know, I get one bite and it was a last second thing, set the hook, and it was, you know, 2.5 pounder or so. And we're like, all right, maybe this is our opportunity because it's that one big fish that's going to cash the check, right? And what I've learned over the course of the years is just really don't give up, make sure you fish until the very last second because you honestly don't know what's going to bring that next cast. Exactly. You just got to keep going.
That's what keeps me going. That's what, I mean, Tasker learned fishing with me for the first time in Canada of like, I have like a no quit thing and I don't want to quit. Like, there's the point of, on that trip, you stop and do shore lunches. People stop for lunch. I'm like, I'm not stopping for lunch. I'm still fishing. And what keeps
we
me
fished
fishing,
through lunch that last day.
Yeah, because I would fish lunch every day. I'm not a person that stops. I'm a fish through because you never know what that next cast is going to be. Yeah. Just like hunting. You never know what's going to come around that corner or out of that draw or from over that ridge at any moment. And the minute you try and get down from that tree is when that's going to happen. So I just can't do it. Maybe it's my addiction or how easily I get addicted to those things. But that's where I'd have that, like, can't quit. And I have, like, struggles within myself when I have to tell myself, okay, you have to stop.
Yeah, that was the hardest thing for me. When I became a dad, I was so used to going out every single weekend, sun up to sundown, and then having kids. It was,
you can't do that anymore.
You got to come home. And it's finding that I just got to stop. I got to go home. I got to get out of that mindset. That's so tough. But it also makes you, now I'm realizing it makes you a better fisherman at some point because you have to stick with what your gut feeling is and stick with this spot. And even through failure, you still learn to put that piece of puzzle, in the correct spot. So
you mentioned that's the number one lesson that I learned in this first year of like fishing tournaments up a kayak like I did is you can't fish like you can in a boat. So I get caught up in, can I hit this spot and this spot? Especially the bodies of water I have history in, of wanting to hit multiple things. I do the game of I know or trying to figure out how long it takes me to get me from point A to point B to then place that in my game plan to, kind of put my milk run in there of how I can do it. And that last one specifically, I should have only stayed in that one area because it was big enough. There was enough fish in the area. I was alone. There was nobody there. Yeah. I should have just held on to that instead of being caught in that giant home run spot that I had that it ate up way too much time to get to it. I should have just not taken that chance and stayed there.
Lessons learned.
And that's it. It's all about lessons learned. Everything you do. Every day you're out hunting. Every time you've been out hunting the last couple of weeks, Tasker, it's been what?
Been a slugfest so far.
Lessons learned.
It's been lessons learned for sure.
All right. Yeah. Well, we're going to learn a couple of lessons throughout the show here, too. Again, Jon Reznack, Clam Pro Tackle. Of course, Tailgate Talk brought to you by our friends Buck Rub Outfitters. Great lengthy conversation, by the way, with our friend Kaz from Buck Rub Outfitters, who also happens to sit on the DNR board. He's actually the chair of the board, into kind of the pitfalls and rabbit holes and things you go down in setting policies in DNR work in the state of Wisconsin. And just because it's here, that is applicable, I think, to any state that sort of stuff happens. You want to just get a little insight on that stuff. You can check that episode out on the podcast channel. Of course, this week, we're joined by Jon Reznack, Clam Pro Tackle, and we're talking fishing. We went over the Sturgeon Bay situation. I know we're going to get into some of the new clam products that are coming out this year, but the biggest question I have as we're getting back into it is, what's with the Frozen 2 gift bag that's sitting in front of you?
Oh, yeah.
Frozen. Ice fishing, it's coming
What you don't know about me is that I hate glitter, so I hope there's not glitter inside of that package.
No, there's no glitter.
My son would be so happy right now because he's like, just any Disney princess. My son loves Disney princesses, which I'm like, cool, bro. Like, love the girls. Like, whatever. Like, you do you. You be you.
That bag is actually for him.
First thing he pointed to, he goes, oh my God, it's Anna and Elsa. He would ignore every other character on there. He'd just be like, who's that? Love it.
Yeah, got a little treat for you guys.
I'm just so nervous about this. We've been hearing about this for weeks.
So how this all came about was, so my wife has a Cricut. I got it for her for Mother's Day a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And I was making water bottles for my niece's volleyball team.
Okay.
And I'm like, what every outdoors man and woman, what do they do in the morning? Well, they drink coffee. So I was like, oh, I need the vector file or JPEG file for the logo for Tailgate Talk.
That's why you would ask me for that.
Yeah. So I was going to make...
Something was in the works.
Yeah, I was going to make mugs, make them real cool, just like the Shockton guy that I sent.
Oh, my gosh. I'm obsessed with his
those
art.
Are sick.
I sent it to my wife, and I'm like, my head spinning, the artistic person that I am, I'm like, eventually I'm just going to sit one day and I'm going to start doing art like he does.
It's so ridiculous. Cool. And I was like, get a tumbler, make something real cool, maybe get a low ball glass or something, because we all like to have our little adult beverages after the hunt or fish, And so happened to be that my buddy Bill sent me a picture. Now, my buddy Bill, he's the owner of Rip and Lips Tackle Company on the east side of Lake Winnebago in Stockbridge, Wisconsin. And he sent me a picture of a lipless crankbait. So in his tackle store, he does a lot of custom painting.
I've seen some of his custom work.
Okay.
Yeah. So I called him up and I said, you know what? Let's axe the coffee mugs and everything like that.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So let me open up this box here. Now, I got one for each of you guys.
Oh, this is going to be awesome.
Super
I would have never, ever thought that this was what it was.
Yeah, so I got one for Waves, too. So,
oh, my goodness. Look at that.
It's a Super Shad Wrap from Rapala. It's a musky bait, and it's got the Tailgate Talk lure on there.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you, Bill, at Rip and Lips, man. That is awesome.
This is
custom
so
painting.
cool.
I love that color. That is slick. I love the orange head, the green.
Wow.
We wanted to keep it simple just because we wanted to show off the logo for Tailgate Talk on there. So
wow.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
So you can fish with it if you want.
I probably can't fish with this.
I love the honesty. This is what's always great about Tasker, is just he is very his heart on his sleeve, very open, very honest, and he's like, no, I can't do that. Like, we're up in Canada, but I don't know how many times you said to me, like, I'm whipping things, you're like, I don't know how you do it. I would be tangled, I'd be caught in this, that I just whip them, like, right on the spot. Spot on spot, just whack, whack, whack.
And then I would get the occasional from the other side of the boat. Nice spot, Task. It'd be like every 8 casts.
Perfect.
Oh, dude, this is so cool.
So,
man, that's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, fish with it or put it up next to your, for you, Ritter, your CMA award, or next to all your nice bourbons and everything.
Yeah.
I'm like trying to figure out how he got. Is that like a decal? It almost looks like burned in.
Yeah, it's a little decal that he painted all in there.
Man, that is slick. That looks really cool.
That is awesome.
Wow. Yeah. So super, super cool. Rip and Lips. Stockbridge, Wisconsin, 106 South Military Road.
This is so cool.
By the way, Stockbridge is an underrated area of Lake Winnebago to fish. On that that side of the lake over there. I've done a lot of smallmouth fishing all up and down that east shore.
For bass guys, when they fish the bigger tournaments like the BFLs and stuff, I don't even know if they're called BFLs anymore.
They do still run BFLs,
okay.
Yeah.
So when you fish the BFLs, you're launching out of Winneconne channels there. So to make that run, some guys do it, but I mean that's a long. You know that, Ritter. That's
our club used
run.
to launch a lot out of actually Rainbow Park.
Yeah, so that's
which is a little bit closer, because you're right there by the marina, so it's straight shot across the lake. Which that body of water, if you've never fished on Lake Winnebago in a boat, in a turn of a dime, that can become the roughest and crappiest body of water you've ever been in.
It can get real bad real quick.
Yep.
So
one wind shift and you went from flat, like nothing glass calm, to 3 to 4 foot waves.
Yep.
And they are on that body of water. They're the ass pounders.
Oh yeah.
They're
and it's not like Sturgeon Bay or Green Bay or anything. Though with the bigger bodies of water like Door County, you got the rollers that come through there. What was it? A couple weeks ago, you sent a vine, or not a vine,
a TikTok or something. Yeah.
Tickety Talk. Sent one of those with the chop.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what it's like. You're just pounding. Yeah, it's not fun. Just get the bow up in the air and just plow them.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Well, this is awesome. I don't know what else to say. I'm just like, I'm speechless of how freaking cool that Super Shad is. That's a cool-ass looking bait.
Yeah.
And a nice big bait.
I was just like,
I would have never guessed this was what it was.
What did you think it was? A head in the box?
I thought it was going to be like I thought it would be like a rocks glass or a beverage vessel of some sort. I was not expecting one of these bad boys.
Yeah. And I showed Vince, and I'm like, do not tell Tasker at all, because he shoots with you. So I'm like, do not tell anything. And I sent him.
We haven't even talked about it.
Gotcha.
Honestly.
Good. Because I sent him a picture. I was like, hey, I got the guys this. And I blurred everything out. And he's like, I hate you. I hate you so much. Show me the pictures.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, give me 1 second. Sent him over. And he's like, dude, that is
This is
it's
so
legit.
cool. Yeah.
So,
That's really cool.
Well, you want to talk about a guy who's just fighting demons right now? That boy Vince is just, he's like, I want to go duck hunting. I want to go muskie fishing. I want to go bow hunting.
This is
that dude is in such a bad place.
This is the problem. This is the problem we face as outdoorsmen in the Midwest.
yeah.
This is the problem we face.
You
October.
got fall turnover coming up here. You got ice fishing that's coming up. You got gun deer season. You got the rut. You got the migration. It's literally the worst time to be an outdoorsman.
Yeah.
I mean, it's terrible because
Well,
you don't know.
if you like everything. For some people, it's easy to make a decision. But
Who are we having this conversation with on the show? Was it, trying to think, was it the guys at
was it
Okayest Hunter?
Okayest or was it Nomadic? I think it was Nomadic.
I think we talked about Dan Matthews too a bit
Yeah.
on his show. We were going about that, how it's the fall is a struggle in the Midwest because you have too many options of things that you can go about.
Yeah.
I mean, you go in the back of my pickup right now. I got duck decoys in there,
yeah.
and then I also have rain gear for fishing.
Yeah.
And cold weather gear. I mean, it's terrible. It's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Let's just say it that way. But
Yeah.
at the same time, it's terrible because you just,
Well, and I think what's nice about it too is that you can do different things based on what the forecast is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You get a cold snap, you might want to go sit in the woods. Or if you like next week, it's going to be warmer, maybe you want to be on the water, whatever. I mean, but that's the nice thing about having that flexibility of being able to do multiple different things. I
like hanging in trees, but I love to be on the water way more.
I know you do, but I don't know, man. I think I'm starting to rub off on you because every time I start talking to you about getting out there and what I'm seeing, you're like, oh, I'm getting the itch, man. But I don't know what to do.
It's the addiction, and especially when we're. Can you tell, Tasker, that I get off on the map stuff? That
Yes,
like
you
mapping
love
and
that.
studying maps and the
that is
technology
like a
part
foreign
is
thing to me.
who I am. Like I can just pick things apart. That I love that. I love this. Like I think it was the one day you'd sent me a text and you're like, just one field. You're like, what would be your game plan here? And that instantly I'm like, I had to pull over to stop to look at it and study it up quick and then give off responses and then start drawing pictures and like, here you go. This is my plan. That's how I'd attack it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. I love telling you the things that I'm seeing because I know it gets you itching to get out there. And now that I've been in this other spot from where you and I normally are hunting, I feel like you're going to be getting out there again soon. I mean, not this weekend because you got stuff going on, but
mainly because I look at that spot and I'm going, there's some great spots I can get into with my sticks.
Yeah.
Sticks versus a climber. A climber you can only
That
get
I
into certain
can't
trees
get
and
in.
certain spots. I can.
that
go
has been
anywhere.
frustrating for me a little bit. But I don't know. I mean, what am I going to do? I'm not going to. Yeah, I don't know.
you should get a ladder stand.
Oh yeah, carry that out there.
Even less places.
Boy,
to get.
so I was texting you guys the last time I was out there. I was like, I can see my vehicle from here. I don't think this is going to be a long drag, boys. Boy, walking back up that hill, it's like 100-foot climb, and
There's
you're
the
like
difference.
walking
Yep.
over the big beans and everything. And I'm like, I don't know, maybe it wouldn't be such a bad idea to wait for the boys to get out here. I've got beer on ice in the car, and
That's all you got to say is I've got beer on ice and I'm there
Yeah.
every time.
All right.
No doubt.
Yeah.
But follow us on socials at On the Tailgate, at The Real Ritter, as in Fishing Reel is myself, at Wisco Bow Hunting, Eric Tasker, and our guest, Jon Reznack from Clam Pro Tackle. And it's at JON_Reznack, right?
Yep.
And it's Jon Reznack, not to be confused with Johnny Resnick of the Goo Goo Dolls.
I told you guys.
Very
that's
close.
That's my uncle.
very close.
Which was unfortunate that Wags was not able to make the show this week. He had, things that were going on and stuff. We had talked about that when I had messaged him one point, said that you were coming back on the show. He got confused when he goes, "Oh, I had to look at that a couple more times because I thought it was Johnny Resnick of the Goo Goo Dolls." And then Wags went on to tell the story because Wags also pitched for the team in Buffalo. Resnick, a huge Buffalonian, and spent a lot of time in the clubhouse there. He's like, oh, he used to be on the clubhouse all the time. So I thought it was that. What's going on? So, yeah, no, not Johnny Resnick of the Goo Goo Dolls, John or Johnny Resnack.
Love that. That's so funny.
Yeah.
So,
God, that's hilarious.
thanks again, by the way. Shout outs if you missed last segment. Again, thanks for these awesome Rapala Super Shad Wraps from Rip and Lips Tackle and Shiocton. I keep wanting to say Sheboygan. I don't know why, but I'll give them a shout out extra for it here. Actually, coming up October 22nd, they'll have a big brat fry going on there. So if you find yourself fishing or hunting in and around Stockbridge, it's all to benefit the 2023 House in the Woods, a veteran sturgeon spearing retreat that they are a big part of. So you can help out some vets in a really cool event and get yourself some grub from 9 to 5 on October 22nd. So There, shameless plug out of the way. Let's talk ice fishing. Hell with it. Let's get to it. And I'm getting blank stares from Eric Tasker, who's like, I'm not going to the ice.
Oh, it's coming. Ice is,
ice is coming.
It's coming.
I hear it every year, and somehow I avoid it.
Well, not this year. You're coming out with us. We're going to drag you out there. So
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I'll get out there.
I'll get my hub shack set up. I'll get the heater in there. We'll make it nice and plush for you.
Just bring a bottle of bourbon or something. Actually, bring any liquor. I've seen Tasker he'll clean house and whatever's available.
Oh, I'll just drink.
Yeah.
I just have to tell you real quick. So I told my wife that you were going to get us these cool things. I sent it to her, and I said, "How cool is this?" She said, "Oh my God, awesome!" And I say, "Yeah, this is awesome." And she says, "You're not going to use it, are you?" She knows me so well. Oh, I love it. All right. Yeah, man. I mean, I'll go and I'll drink and I'll sit. And if there's a Mr. Buddy heater there, I'll be happy.
Yeah, we'll get it all set up for you.
Yeah,
we'll
I love this.
Make it nice and plush.
You bring two buddies and really get it cranking in there. I've been in ice shacks with a like a regular buddy and the big buddy going, and next thing you know, you're trying to strap down to your underoos.
Yeah, you're sweating pretty good. That's the cool thing with the insulated shacks now. I mean, they're relatively lightweight.
Yeah.
And they keep you so warm that even without a heater in there, because of the quilting and everything, it's just going to keep the wind out of there, and it automatically makes it that much warmer out there. So
yeah. I mean, there's a reason I got rid of my one man that I had was the non-insulated, because it was when the kind of the flip overs really were first coming about.
Yep. Right.
And then I had gotten the insulated one a few years later when that came on the market and got going, and I still just kept the one man because it was just me. I still found myself always dragging out my 2-man insulated no matter what I was doing. So that's where eventually I'm like, I don't need the one man. It's gonna go, because you're right. Without a heater in it, I've been out times and it's nice. Without it.
It's a wind block.
That's got to be the biggest thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're out, you're completely exposed, and even if you are in one of those shacks, if you don't have that protection, it's just got to cut right through you.
Well, I took it a step farther. You're familiar with those like rubber mats people put like on their floor for like a home gym? Mm-hmm. I've got a set of those. So when I get to the ice, I get in my spot, I can pull those mats out, interlock them real quick, fold my shack over. So now I'm even off the snow. That's also providing extra insulation, keeping more heat in. Yeah. That's my hot tip. Even if you have a hub shack, just keeping a stack of those, they don't take up much space. They're super lightweight, and they're really quick, easy to pop back in and out. So if I'm moving to another spot, it's, again, same thing. Right. Or I could just use the one square to keep my feet on, if that's just keeping my feet warm. But they snap together so quickly, just moving around spot to spot. It's a great thing to have for your ice shack.
Well, in the hub shacks, Clam does make a removable floor for you. So it is... Yeah, you don't want to wear your cleats in there because you don't want to rip it up, but it does keep everything off, off the ice. And then it does have flaps in there too, where you can drill your holes and still ice fish. And it's got the flap that you can put down on there. So if you do ice camp, because there's a lot of guys that do sleep over on the ice.
I think that's a bucket list for me this year. I've always wanted to do that, and so I think that's a bucket list I think I'm going to do at some point this year.
I like how Ritter looks at me as I'm shaking my head with a smirk. Nope.
I mean, do we take Tasker out on like first ice type deal?
I don't think so.
So the main question is, have you ever been out on the ice before?
I have. Okay. I fished on Christmas Day one year.
Okay.
And then like 2 weeks after that.
Okay. Yeah. Every time I take somebody that's new to ice fishing out, whenever you hear the ice making noise, you got to, spread eagle on the ground and spread out and just stay there. Next thing you know, as you're walking and I'm walking and I hear it and I look back and they're spread out.
So funny story about that I can share with you guys. Back when I was in high school, I think was I a senior in high school? I was a junior in high school. He was a senior. It was a kid that transferred from Texas. So he's from Texas, moved to live with his grandparents, whatever, was at our high school. So we took him out ice fishing with us. So, and we were in, one of my buddies' dad had a shack on Shaun Lake. And so, he was like really leery and weird about this little ice fishing thing to start. And we told him like, if you start hearing sound, like that's the ice cracking. Right. So we start hearing glunk, 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 glunk. Oh, man, the ice is cracking. Before we could say that, he is out the door of the shack running towards shore. It was hilarious. And we just sit back and eventually whoop the door open, and we just start laughing. He turns around and he's like, you guys. It's so funny.
Not funny. It's not funny.
That was so funny.
It's one of those things that if you're not born and raised in the ice belt, you're never going to experience, really. I mean, a couple years ago when Texas had the cold front that came through and the lakes froze down there, I mean,
I remember pictures of the guy ice fishing. Somehow finding a way to ice fish down there. Yeah,
right. If you're not from the north, you're not going to know about it. I mean, you'll hear about it, but you're never going to experience it.
Right.
So it's cool because you get to know people a lot better than what you do in a boat. It's such a close combat fishing atmosphere because you go down to Delavan Lake, there's going to be thousands of guys out there, and you're going to be shoulder to shoulder with them. Yeah. And everybody's, hey, how's it going? You know, and you kind of get to know a lot of people that way.
I prefer not to fish that way. I'm much more of the lone wolf myself, that I like to find my off the beaten path, get away from the crowd.
I mean, I have no problem fishing in crowds. I like to be by myself, but every lake that you fish is going to be a little bit
community holes. It's just like bass fishing. You're going to find the community holes, and people are going to stack them. Poigan's a perfect example of one as far as ice fishing when it comes to walleyes. That's just such a giant mud flat. People just fill in areas, and you can catch a fish anywhere on Poigan. Yeah. Spoiler alert. Yeah. But what does everyone do when they first go out? Look for somebody and set up close to them. Oh, the fish must be here. Right. And then next thing you know, you've got Shantytown, and more people stack on top of that.
And you're just leapfrogging back and forth, moving with the fish.
Yeah.
All right, so tell us about some of the cool new stuff that Clam's got coming out for 2023, fresh off of the Clam Pro Day.
How much time do we have?
Well, I mean, we've got probably just shy of 20 minutes. I think we can roll.
Yeah, that's plenty.
So a lot of great stuff this year. So last year, they touched a little bit on their shacks, right? So upgraded some fabric, made certain models, like the Pro model and then the X model, different tubs. They also had some different accessories with it as well, too. This year, we thought the shacks were great last year. This year, they made them taller, so that you'll see the XT extra tall.
Extra tall, makes sense.
I'm not the tallest guy, but I don't have to duck my head to get into these
that's
shacks now.
Nice.
Yeah, so they're super tall. The one-man shacks, I mean, if you're using a longer rod, which is more like what everybody's starting to use now, you don't have to worry about hitting the top when you have a big sweeping hook set, because it's like 6 foot tall type deal for a one-man shack. So
I'm just laughing because I saw you look at me when you said the longer rod, and I'm thinking he's gonna think that I'm just gonna bring my regular fishing pole out there. Well, so that's what I was thinking.
No, honestly, like youth style, like those like 48 to 56 inch rods.
Yeah,
that's becoming a trend of things, and especially in the bigger fish scenarios.
So it's leverage. Yeah, is what it comes down to. Also, when you're fishing shallow water, the longer rods get you away from the hole, because fish, believe it or not, they don't really hear you walking on the ice, right?
Okay.
They don't even hear, they can hear your gas auger, but they mainly hear the blades scraping the hole, right?
Because of the vibration.
Yeah, exactly. So with the longer rods, especially with clear water and clear ice before snow comes down,
shadows.
The shadows. You got to get away from the hole. My longest ice rod is my grandpa made it, and it's like 5.5 foot long.
Oh, wow.
And the line goes right through the middle of the blink. There's no guides on it or anything. And you just use that hole hopping, shallow water, anything less than 10 feet of water, you use that rod pretty much. And it's a whole system to it. Other than that, my longest rod besides that would be like a 30-inch noodle type deal.
Right.
And that's going to be
like the more common.
Yeah, 30, 32. You might get a 38-inch rod out there, but that's going to be, the 38 models are going to be for white fishing, walleyes, bigger game. You're not going to really see that for bluegills or crappies that I chase.
I think 32 is my 2 pike rods, because I run the why am I drawing a blank on it now with my I don't do tip ups, but they're the
autos.
No, they're not even the autos. The iFish Pro. I run the iFish Pro. Yep. So with having those, that's where I have my longer rod set with things. I do have like homemade autos out of PVC pipe. They're super easy to make. But I love the iFish Pros. Those things to me are so, because there's something fun about fighting a big fish with a rod.
Oh, for sure.
That I absolutely love. And I love to be able to let them run fish like pike that I would fish for through the ice. That's where I think the iFish Pro versus the autos that hook set those, too many risk of the hook set going and ripping the bait out of the fish's mouth, especially with a pike that like just grab things and run off and sit with it and then eat it. I'd rather let them run off with it before.
Yeah, and tip ups nowadays, they're nice. They're super cool to use, but I'd rather fight fish on rod and reel. So
the Clam, they've got their own line. Was it the big fish of tip ups too? Did they make some improvements to that all this year, John?
Yeah, they have. So still the insulated model for them. They got the plastic underneath, so it's not going to be like the other brands that have the styrofoam underneath. You're not going to have to worry about anything rotting out over time. And they also make them bigger than 10 inches, too.
That's the nice thing, because I have some of the original, like the Frable round ones, and if you have a 10-inch auger, they float in the 10-inch hole.
Yep.
Which is why I intentionally stepped down to an 8-inch auger for my propane auger, so that they could completely cover the hole.
Right. Yeah, and there's a whole science to it. And guys that really fish tip-ups, the light penetration and this and that. And I don't really fish tip-ups that often. I'll fish them if I go out with buddies that don't typically ice fish.
Yeah, Tasker would love tip-up fishing.
Yeah, you run for
That's
flags.
what I've done, yeah.
And then
you sit back and drink and play cribbage, and then when a flag goes, everybody runs, yells flag, and you run and trip and stumble and fall over the ice. And yeah,
it's like a free one man, takes everybody else down. So it's a good time. Other than that, like you would like tip down fishing too for crappies and bluegills.
Perch, we've done a lot of tip down fishing for perch in the Bay of Green Bay.
Yeah, it's one of those where if you're constantly running, and if you're new to the sport, getting your Vexlar or your fish finder and getting that all set up, that's all fun, but it's also the running for the tip downs and the tip ups and everything.
Yeah.
Back when my buddy Carl was around, we did a nurses event every year. His wife worked for Children's Hospital, so we would take most of the NICU nurses out there with their families, and we would teach them ice fishing. And the main thing was because we had 10 guys, that's a lot of tip-ups that we can have out. So we'd go to Bass's Bay, and we would just line the whole place up with tip-ups, and we'd just be running nonstop all day. I think we'd go through like 6 minnows.
I used to have a group of 5 guys. We would do a trip every year up to North Twin on a walleye trip, and that's what we would do. It was just to spread tip-ups. We'd still jig, or at least have 2 guys jigging in a shack, but then we'd use to spread tip-ups all along, because that lake is a very deep lake with steep banks on the sides, so we could really set up every different level down the bank to figure out if a certain depth range was hotter, and then we could hone things in on that one area. Is how we always use tip-ups for fishing.
Yeah. The next big thing that Clam came out with is their pinhead minnows. It's a spoon. And last year they made them out of lead.
Yeah, so it's a weighted spoon, essentially.
Yep, it's a weighted spoon. Yep, it's not a flutter spoon by any means. It's a weighted spoon. They made them out of lead in the past, and now we're into zinc alloy. So it's a couple different things, more environmentally friendly. We all got to look out for that.
Makes sense.
It's going to have a different sound profile to it. And it may have a little bit different flutter to it just because of the density of the zinc and everything.
I was going to say the weight difference. What's the weight difference? Because, we always hear about tungsten. Tungsten's what everyone's went to. Is what's the difference? Because tungsten, you get as much weight as lead in a smaller size. Where does zinc fall in that?
It's going to be relatively similar to lead for it. So, this year I just ordered a whole bunch of 1/32 ounce spoons. Just because I need them.
Right, because you've been buying everything lately.
Yeah, I've been just buying
as
everything.
We know.
Well, but that's the thing, though, is you got to stock up. When it's the fall in Wisconsin, you got to start stocking up now for gun deer season. You got to start stocking up for ice fishing. My theory is you should never stop buying outdoors equipment. If that's what you're into, you should never stop buying it.
I love it.
What was it? Like 2 weeks ago, I bought some new decoys for goose hunting.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a deal. I couldn't pass it up.
If you're in season looking for something in any season, and I think if anything, 2020, I think really amplified that situation. But it always has been that way. If you're looking for something in season, your chances of finding it are a lot less than if you do it before season.
Exactly.
Or thinking ahead to buy after season for next season, and just realizing you're not going to have the newest product. But really, let's be real. Especially when you talk about decoys, they've done it for years. They've shot ducks over like jugs painted black and white.
Right.
New innovation. Yes, it's nice. Are they catching more fish or more birds or more deer or more hunters or more fishermen or That's always the balance you go with things. There's certain, like you said, certain things you're used to and you do all the time when it comes to baits. Like I'm trying to get more simple with things. There's I'm certain things I do and that's it. Although this year I've fallen down the hole of a couple different new crankbaits that I'm all about, and coming into next spring, like I said, look out for my taco order because there's going to be a large amount of the new Rapala square bills that are going to be in my arsenal. But
I mean, if you're going to use them, why not?
That's
buy
just
them?
it. It's a technique I use a
mean,
lot. I like what the Rocco is going to be, so I'm going to be ordering quite a few of them.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to use it, well, why not buy it type
Right.
deal. So just like me, every year, and you guys experience this with my dilemma every year of buying a new shack.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, because we had you on last year talking about the new Clam products, and you were talking about that, and then we've texted a few times over the last few years, like, do I buy a new one? You know, they're coming out with, I put the order in, do I get one?
Right. So every year I kind of bounce back and forth. Do I get a one-man shack, especially with my younger one? I'm going to introduce him to ice fishing and everything just because he listens a little bit better now. So it's one of those, do I buy it? Do I not? And then I talk myself out of it every single year for a couple different reasons. One, I love being mobile. So with the new suits, they didn't change anything except for a couple different color waves, which, by the way, I got the black camo Rise suit this year. So I was going to go with the Carhartt colored brown Ascent suit, but I talked myself out of it and went with the black camo one. But with the advancements of the clothing line, you don't really need a shack anymore. Your shack is on top of you.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially with being warmth and how they have the flotation in there, you don't really need a shack at that point.
Sure.
But
That flotation has come a long way of all the companies that make them. You know, I've got the original very first float suit that was ever on the market, and that was the Frable, the Coast Guard approved. That thing, it's basically like they built
a life jacket.
Jacket into the jacket. And then, you know, there's some flotation into the bib. So it's a little cumbersome and a little bulky compared to, you know, what the products are nowadays.
Right. The main thing is, though, is if something does happen, you can, you know, float pretty much is what it comes down to. You can help yourself get out of those sticky situations. So that's the biggest thing. If you're a avid ice fisherman, just get a float suit. Don't even second guess it. Don't look around it.
Why
Just
not?
get it. It's just that added level of insurance that you got.
I even still take my PFD, you know, a kayak. I do the, you know, the inflatable one. You pull it and expands. I wear that on the ice too, because that's, you know, sometimes you take your jacket off, you know, and you're walking around or whatever.
Yep.
I always have that with me too, especially early. It gets me later, and I know the ice is much safer. Then I'm not so worried about it, because a lot of times the jacket's on the way out. By the time I get out there, the jacket comes off, and I'm just in a hoodie.
Oh, right.
You know, and out there fishing anyway. And if I'm running, doing things, because again, I do in the shack, but. I feel the shacks are pretty portable too, even the two-mans. It's just, it's a weight difference, and what do you want to do it? And then I know the big trend now is the fat tire bikes, people using bikes to get around on the ice instead of snowmobiles and whatnot.
Yeah, I've thought about doing that, because a lot of lakes that I fish, you can't take ATVs out there. And my thing is I want to be lightweight and super portable. And when I'm talking lightweight, my whole sled maybe weighs 60 pounds. So for me to get into a one-man shack, I already think, all right, what do I have to remove to make it a lighter shack? Because I'm walking, you know, everywhere that I go. So that's the reason why I don't really fish out of a one-man. But if I do bring a hub, though, I bring my dad or I bring a friend, and they carry that, and I'll carry all their gear.
Sure.
So we'll trade off the weight difference on it. But yeah, with everything being so lightweight and portable, why not? You got to move with the fish. I mean, you can stay in one spot and fish, but you just got to move and catch fish.
All right, so what else bait-wise do we have before we wrap up?
With other baits out there, I mean, the pinhead minnow is the biggest one. That's the big one that came out. They got the jointed one as well, too. So you got a little bit of a joint in there, more sound and more vibration out there. Silkies, those were hot a couple years ago.
I remember you talking about that last year big time. You were a big fan of the Silkies.
Yeah, they got new colors out this year, so I'm going to stock up on those. When they first got introduced, you couldn't find them anywhere. I think when I worked at Cabela's, there was like 4 of them on the shelf. I posted about it. The next morning I came in there.
They were gone.
They were gone. And that was it. That was it for their stock that they had. They couldn't get any more in there. So, yeah, I mean, that was the beginning of the pandemic that all happened. But if it's one thing, like you keep mentioning, if you see it, do your research and just buy it. You know, you got to look. Right. You got to look 2 steps ahead and get what you want.
Now, what does the stock look like for this year? Remember last year you said that still was the problem, was limited stock that went to retail. Where is Clam sitting this year with their product releases?
They're sitting pretty. They got a lot of.
So retailers should be fairly well stocked as soon as they hit shelves.
Yep. I mean, you're still going to have to go out and buy it when you see it, but you may have a week or 2 type deal. But yeah, you're going to want to go out and buy it when you see it.
Yeah. Especially the hot colors that you're looking for.
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome. Well, always glad to have that info and insight and get a look at it. So the Clam Pinhead Minnow, the big one that I'm taking away, and especially the jointed, sounds like could be a great walleye and even like crappie style bait.
Oh yeah, for sure. I use it for crappies and bluegills. I don't even put bait on it. I mean, you could fish it baitless, which is in a spoon world, that's kind of unheard of because you always tip them with like a minnow head, or if you're targeting like bluegills and crappies, put a couple spikes or waxies on there. You don't have to do it with that. You just drop them down and fish it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, we appreciate it always. Jon Reznack, Clam Pro Tackle. Again, it's at Jon Reznack. If you want to just spell it out.
It's Reznack.
All right. Check them out on Instagram. Follow there. There's plenty of ice fishing stuff, I'm sure, throughout the winter as we get going. Obviously, we'll hear more, and you'll probably be mentioned more on the show as, we've been talking a lot and everything. So it's, glad to have you in here to give that insight of things.
Thank you, guys.
We'll get Tasker out on the ice. It'll happen.
Yeah, I'm there. I'll just bring the booze.
Yeah, we'll get you out there. We'll
got to get more excited. You're like me when it comes to bow hunting versus bass fishing. We'll come to a terms there. So until next time, for Wags, Tasker, it's Tailgate Talk.